significantly and contributing significantly to our going forward energy sustainability. And anytime that you want to test that, check when the plant has to go on routine maintenance. The drop in the about 80 to up to 120 120 million standard cubic feet of gas that is produced every day, equivalent to about 500 megawatts of power. When that is lost, the significant negative impact that it has. That was also commissioned this year. Again, you look at several other water projects that also came on board. As we speak now, if you are to look at the coverage of urban and rural water, we are at 76%, as compared to about 56, 58% thereabout, just about 7 years ago. I am very excited about the fact that both urban and rural water coverage are at par, 76. It's a clear distinction about what the NDC as a government stands for, being the fact that the rural-urban dichotomy ought to be bridged, and the fact that we are providing these. So
you want to tap yourself on the back and say, based on these things you've mentioned, government has done quite well when it comes to infrastructure, especially.
Yeah, I think that not just based on there are several others that I'm sure time will not allow us. If you look at the community day schools, the president inaugurated one in the Kumfi Otuam, another in Bamionko, another in Nkwanta, and there are several others that have been completed as we speak now. You may say that these are infrastructure, but they are infrastructure that have significant benefit to the people. Take, for instance, the issue of provision of portable drinking water. These days, the issue of the yellow gallons, you hardly will find them as they were in the past. These days, if you are to look at the issue of National Health Insurance Scheme and do proper comparative.
That has been seen as one of the banes of the current administration, because the opposition keeps hammering that the current administration has run down the health insurance scheme. What were the challenges for the management of the health insurance?
Yeah. I think that you are even editing what the opposition has been saying. What the opposition has been saying is that the National Health Insurance Scheme is dead. Okay, and if you can open to page 29 of the book Accounting to the People. There are two graphs, and just for illustration, if you check National Health Insurance Scheme outpatient utilization trend. What this means is that the four of us in the studio, assuming we are subscribers to the National Health Insurance Scheme, and you visited a health facility on the ticket of National Health Insurance Scheme 4 times. I did 5 times, 9. He did 2 times, 11. He did 4 times, 15. That is the number of times that we utilize the scheme. Okay. So the total number of people who subscribe to the scheme, how many times in a particular year did they utilize it? If you check the figure from 2005, we are seeing growth continuously. You cannot look at this growth and say that the National Health Insurance Scheme is dead. Okay? You check in 2008, the total number of utilization was 9,339,296. From 2008 to 2014, that is last year, the total number had jumped from a little over 9 million to 29,637,189. And that is the last graph that you are seeing. What this means, certain, is improving. Okay. One may say that, okay, are you funding the utilization as much as the utilization is growing? Then you come to the graph underneath it. And that is where, if you look at the graph underneath it, you realize that in 2008, when the total utilization was 9,339,000, the then government spent 183 million Ghana cedis on the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Okay.
As I said, it jumped by over 20 million by 2014. How much did President Mahamad's government spend on the National Health Insurance Scheme? It was 1 billion Ghana cedis and over. So between 2008, 183 million Ghana cedis spent on the health insurance scheme. By 2014, government was spending over 1 billion. This is a clear indication that in terms of people's confidence and all that, that is increasing per the utilization numbers. And in terms of corresponding expenditure on the health insurance scheme also, that is also growing. And that in itself is finding expression in some of the indicators that we are seeing, that we have captured in this book.
But
and by this, I'll refer you to page 25.
But before we go to 25, some of the, I mean, per the graph you just showed us, in 2012, for instance, there was a drop. And it was around the time that news of the insurance scheme dying and her government not giving the health insurance scheme in much needed attention became quite prominent or quite pronounced in the media. And then between 2012 and 2014, there seemed to have been some growth from 23 million to 29 million in terms of the usage. Yeah. So that period, the question is,
you will realize that even assuming you are to go by that drop that you see in 2012, which was 23,875,000, is way above 9,339,000 in 2008. Okay. There can be no way that 9 million can be better than 23 million. So even that drop is far better than what the situation was in 2008. You understand? And that is why I'm saying it reflects the improved health-seeking behavior of Ghanaians. And you will find this on page 25, where you will, in examining this particular simplified table, because sometimes the graphs can be a bit confusing, you realize that if you take infant mortality, child mortality, under 5 mortality in 2008 and 2014, whereas statistically in 2008, if 1,000 infants were born, you find a situation where 50 were programmed to die. That has dropped to 41. Child mortality has dropped from 31 to 19. Under 5, mortality has dropped from 80 to 60. You understand? So it is not just a matter of providing the infrastructure, but also you should be looking at the impact. Again, if you are to be examining education in terms of the educational infrastructure that we have provided, I've spoken about UHAS. The community day schools are also here for everyone to see. And then you take another graph here, which is on page 13. This is the percentage of SSC students who attained grades A1 to C6. And like the president stated, we need to do more. That notwithstanding, Ghana, for about 3 years running, has been taking almost all the significant awards at the WAEC level at this particular stage. You realize that over here, again, we are seeing improvements. Check right from 2006, 2007, 2008, and 2009. There is none of the graphs, that is the performance in 2006 all the way to 2008, that you will say is better than from 2009 upwards. In fact, the best performance between 2006 and 2008 was in 2008, and that was 12.95%. That best performance in 2008 is worse than the worst performance between 2009 and 2014,
and
which is like 20.
Your best in terms of the best for this administration
is 31 point,
which was in 2019,
which was in 2012. Yes. Exactly.
And then there again, there was a massive decline to 19.5.
Yes, and it is rising again. And it is rising again. That is why interventions such as the community day schools are very, very significant in ensuring that improving on the environment. That is why interventions, such as retraining of more maths and science teachers,
so
and
for
all
you,
that are very, very key.
In health and education, the current administration has done well and is still working to ensure that we have better health services and then also improve the system of education. What
Beyond
about
me saying so, I think that the evidence, I didn't create these statistics, so the evidence is there for everyone to see. I'm very sure if you move to the Ridge Hospital, you appreciate the expansion project that is ongoing. If you move to the police hospital, you will also identify the police hospital project, the University of Ghana,
and then we've seen what is happening,
and several others. I mean, these are monumental projects that
we want to spread the discussion a bit away. There are those who said that the president in the last stretch of the year responded to certain statements that were not expected of the president. You know, one was his referral to, or his response to the opposition New Patriotic Party when he ended up calling their acting chairman Opana and all. And then also the launch of this book that we are discussing. There were those who thought that the president should have rather allowed yourself or the Communications and Information Ministry to rather do the launch and explain the things you've just done, rather than he himself holding a microphone and explaining to the Ghanaian people. What is your take on that?
When you have a president who is competent and appreciates the issues, has traveled around the country, and he has visited almost all of these projects, his style will be different from a president who sits in the office and reports are sent to him. And why do I say this? I mean, this is a president who goes all the way even to cocoa farms. And you can see President Mahama. This was on January 7 in Asin, Senchim, when he visited this young man on his cocoa farm. And that's the president breaking the cocoa pots. You understand? So it's different. That's the president sitting there breaking the cocoa pots. That's the young farmer and his wife. Okay. So the issue should be, how did the president fare? And I'm sure the verdict is out there. People applauded even his mastery of several sectors in the country. I was particularly amazed when he mentioned the name of this young pupil,
the boy,
Collins Agbo. Because, I mean, let's face it, yes, he's distributing 10,000 sandals to pupils, and there were so many of the children that he helped to wear their sandals. But the picture that we selected, I mean, he remembered, and I think that is how it should be, because at the end of the day, after all the talk, after all the laws, after all the infrastructure, it is about people. And that is why we always say that putting people first is very, very significant and very, very key. And so the president, I think, did a wonderful job, and the verdict has been. So
it was okay for him to have been the one who launched the book and then talked the country through the book.
It is his mandate that we are helping him to execute. And so if at any point in time he want to step forward and do it, that in itself is a demonstration of...
To the other issue, I mean, it was a double-barreled question, where he seemed to have, some said he had lost his cool and now was responding to
not at all.
almost anything that the opposition said.
No, not at all.